Even though we no longer have version updates for Smash Ultimate, the meta is ever changing in the competitive scene as players continue to exhaustively explore their character's potential and adapt to each other. Because of this, we had a number of fighters who, in tandem with direct buffs they received via the aforementioned version updates, managed to improve considerably in the court of public opinion standings. So for today, we'll be talking about 5 characters who improved the most over time, once considered bad or average at best, to veritable threats in the meta. I should preface by saying that there's a difference between most buffed and most improved, since I'm expecting some of you to ask, haven't I already done this before? Some of the fighters on this list have indeed gotten buffs through version updates, but buffs don't necessarily correlate to characters' improvement in the meta. Several low and mid tiers got buffed like 9 times over but are still low and mid tier, whereas other fighters got buffed only once or twice, but that was all they needed to reach top tier status. Anyways, let's get started. Beginning with the honorable mentions, I'm gonna go with Fox. Hear me out, hear me out. I know what you're gonna say. What do you mean? Fox was always broken. Yes, I agree, he was always strong right from the start. But the community's rating on him fluctuated a lot. Throughout the better part of 2019 and early 2020, Fox was actually in a weird spot, and obviously due to being a high execution character, the switch to online play didn't do him any favors. Around this time, player sentiment on Fox was that he was a lot worse than in Smash 4, and I remember there being discussion that he was high tier at best. Then of course, as he returned back to offline play, you have Light just myrtleizing everyone, making the character look disgusting as all hell, to the point where he was single-handedly the only reason Fox was ranked top 5 best characters in Smash. Now personally, I think that's a load of horse manure. There's no way Fox is top 5, he's probably like top 8 or 9 at best. But I will agree that if we compare peak performances, Fox is better than Wolf, which is different from what people said back then where Wolf was better than Fox. Second HM would be Bayonetta. I was torn between Diddy Kong and Bayo, but ultimately decided on the latter. If I was gonna make a third HM, it would definitely be Diddy. Unlike Fox, Bayo was substantially buffed throughout Ultimate's development history, but what really made her story noteworthy is that everyone thought she was like bottom 10 or even bottom 5 given the painfully brutal yet justified nerfs to her from Smash 4. Nowadays, most people consider her a very strong high tier character, with some arguing she can be even better. In terms of representation, she's definitely improved a ton from then. We have Bloom Forever, Lima, Geist, Deathspade, my boy Tejuice. It's realistically very likely for a Bayo player to get top 8 at a major in this day and age. She still has very egregious problems that can be exploited. I'm by no means calling her a top tier, but considering where she started at the beginning of Ultimate, she really brought it back. I'll be going over this in more detail when we get to the actual list, but I think a major contributing factor to Bayo's second win is that she's a punish-oriented character, not so much a rush-down boxer fighter, and Ultimate is gradually shifting towards a punish-oriented game. So, with the 2 honorable mentions out of the way, let's get to the actual list. Unlike the top 10 and worst moves video, this one will actually be ordered, so we'll begin at the 5th place spot. At number 5, we have Ice Climbers. Widely considered the weirdest characters in the game, the Ices evolved from a niche and obscure low tier pick to still a niche and obscure but mid to high tier threat. Though their actual rankings are still by no means impressive, only going from low tier to high tier, and even then, that's a bit charitable, what few mains of them there are have gone to extreme lengths to improve the execution on their freakish combos. Presently, most high-performing Ices players who aren't Big D are located in Japan and haven't had many opportunities to roam outside of the land of the rising sun. That being said, Big D is living proof of the sheer terror of Ices. Definitely not a character you should underestimate whatsoever, and many are learning that the hard way. Regarding balance adjustments, they only had 2 patches with practical benefits to them, 9.0 and 13.1.1. Biggest of all, I think, was the damage and knockback reduction they got in 9.0, making Nana less vulnerable to being killed early and separated. Bele's recovery distance was also improved, which is very helpful considering how trash their recovery is otherwise, but for the most part, I would say the bulk of their improvement stemmed from how the meta itself evolved. We're currently on the precipice of the endgame when it comes to character optimization. Zero deaths are happening way more frequently now than they ever did before, as players get better and better with making the most out of a single neutral interaction. You have touch of death characters like Luigi, Kazuya, Steve, and especially Ice Climbers having the potential to pull off massive upsets in bracket. Ices in particular can lead to many polarizing matchups that seem almost insurmountable for the opponent. As a Cloud main, I have no trouble against them, but I can't even begin to fathom how stubby characters like Mario or Fox are supposed to go about approaching them. So overall, while no one would say they're anywhere close to top tier, to go from being a gimmicky Twitter clip montage character to making top 8 at majors is no small feat. I'm excited to see more of them, that is, if anyone's even willing to play them. Number 4 will be Incineroar. Incineroar received a fair bit of buffs, not to the same extent as Ryu and Ken, but definitely enough to where they cannot be ignored. Versions 2, 6, and 8 were especially important in making it so his disadvantaged state didn't result in an instant loss, while making his mental advantage state so terrifying he could easily 3-shot anyone, so no one can deny he was buffed a ton. But let's put things into perspective for a moment. Incin is notorious for having the worst physics in a game where physics or lack thereof can make otherwise good characters into mediocre ones, and for the longest time ever, people thought that for Incin. They believed him to be a low or bottom tier character because almost no one played him in the early days, further compounding everyone's negative opinion on him. Then coming off online play, Skyjay starts whooping everyone's ass to where he's ranked 23rd in the world, taking wins off Spargo, Leo, Riddles, Meister, Mutace, the Bust, 90% of which are losing matchups or tolerable at best. I still remember his Collision 2023 run because that's when I interviewed him for instance Why No One Plays episode, and just watching him smoke everyone with the perceived bottom tier felt like a meta commentary that no one should complain about how bad their character is if Skyjay can place top 8 at 500 plus person mages with the slowest character in the game. But in all seriousness, Instin's a very punish-heavy character in an increasingly punish-oriented meta. While he doesn't require the same mechanical execution as Ice Climbers, the premise is still the same thing. The 2019 meta was heavily focused on speed and aggression. The 2023 and now going to 2024 meta is heavily focused on punishment, taking one mistake your opponent makes and f***ing them 6 ways to Sunday. Incineroar just so happens to be very good at that, especially when powered up by Revenge. A single base power Alolan Whip near the ledge will kill you easily below 100%. These days, everyone is well aware of Instin's destructive power. From a bottom tier to respectably high mid tier is a measurable jump in standing and well worth a spot on this list. Number 3 will be Cloud. I may be the biggest Cloud down player on the planet, but I can acknowledge that he's improved a lot since day 1, both with the help of a single yet critical patch, but more because of the evolution of the game. Version 7 did a fantastic job addressing most of his quality of life issues. They buffed the speed of his limit charge, they gave him more kill power on his burst options like dash attack and up smash, and they made his up B much less 2-frameable. 13.0.1 also gave him a faster startup and finishing touch, now making it fast enough to be used as a punish or kill confirm option. So Cloud did get buffed a good amount, but what really made his standing improve from mid tier to top tier are 2 things. 1, he's very meta resilient, and 2, he's a very anti-meta character. Regarding meta resilience, the aforementioned punish meta we've been transitioning to for the past year works in his favor. Everyone knows Cloud's a safe character. Safe aerials thanks to low landing lag and good range, good space control with once again his aerials, and moves like cross slash, fantastic at a shield game with up smash and climb hazard, but most of all, Cloud's one of the few sword fighters who can force approaches. The big downside to Shulk, Lucina, Ike, Roy, Corrin, and Violet is that they have to approach to pressure you. I mean, technically Violet and Corrin have neutral B, but come on, there's no way in hell you're getting hit by those. Evidently, approaching is very hazardous to do as it forces you to reveal your hand before your opponent reveals theirs. So generally, it's better for your opponent to make the first move and punish that than to swing first. Through Blade Beam and especially Limit Charge, Cloud has an incentive to camp, therefore whenever he wants to, he can pressure his opponent into approaching him, which he can easily punish with his space controlling moves like Cross Slash or added shield options. As for number 2, Cloud's surprisingly good at beating the characters known for beating everyone else. All the annoying matchups, Pac-Man, Game & Watch, Ness, Olimar, Yoshi, Steve, Kazuya. Okay, maybe he doesn't beat Steve and Kazuya, but he certainly has a much better time than the majority of the cast. Point being, Cloud's good at beating the anti-meta characters, therefore he's anti-meta, therefore he's meta. It's still only Spargo who managed to break him into top level play, but across mid and high level, players are becoming more aware of the general safety Cloud provides, which is why he's one of the most popular characters in the game compared to back in the day where everyone thought he was washed. Number 2 will be Sonic. His story is along the same vein as Fox's. Both were fantastic in Smash 4, then coming into Ultimate everyone thought they weren't as good as they used to be and would just stay high tier, or mid tier. Sonic in particular had a worse first impression since they took out a lot of stuff in his kit that made him strong in the previous game, making him start out as a mid tier. He got a few buffs over time but nothing too big in all honesty, just some consistency changes and maybe adjustments to his lesser used moves like up smash or dash attack. Besides that, he's almost identical to what he was in version 1. Fast forward to the modern day and I don't think there needs to be any explanation on Sonic. One of the most despised fighters in the game next to Steve, he's frequently considered the single best character in the game. Steve is the best if we go by averages, but if we compare the absolute best of a character, I feel like Sonic edges out over Steve and it's very obvious why. If he resolves to, he can time out every single member of the cast in the game. He's so fast, he can literally outrun anyone and outbox anyone who can keep up with him. It's a painstaking and mentally exhausting strategy, but one that Sonic mains frequently opt for when they see no veritable reason to go in. Even then, going from maybe rank 30 to 40 to second best character at worst makes him easily one of the most improved characters in the game. However, contrasting the others in this video, I don't think Sonic improved because of the punish-oriented meta. To punish someone, you have to react to what they're doing, which usually means you have to somewhat guess what they're trying to do. Sonic doesn't really have to do that. He sets up a checkmate lose-lose situation for his opponent and lets Spin Dash take care of the rest. Not saying he takes no skill to play, but Sonic's punish game quote-unquote doesn't feel like a punish game because he forces you to make the mistake of approaching him, whereas for other characters, they punish unforced errors to then lead to forced errors. Fighting Sonic in neutral just feels like you're playing right into his hand every time. All the same, if we're going by literal definition, then yes, Sonic's entire gameplay is to sit and wait for his opponent to make the first move. That's the whole premise of corner camping with Spin Dash, and it's easily one of the most effective punish tools in the game. Sonic's a classic example of accidentally becoming good. You would think that with Ultimate being fast, games would only get faster as time goes on, but ironically, Sonic's amazing speed enables him to make the game slower. Number 1 most improved character is by miles Mr. Game & Watch. I remember the day like it was yesterday. Everyone thought his new forward air was garbage, and admittedly I was one of them. I kinda liked the box, or credit card, whatever it was. Then the changes to his up air losing the toot confirmed, people thought this character was bottom tier at the beginning of Ultimate. Oh, how the turns are tabled. Full disclosure, I think Game & Watch is top 5. This character is bullshit. He is easily one of the freest advantage states in the game, a very safe neutral game that can easily transition into advantage with his monstrous hitboxes. Yes, I understand the irony of complaining about hitbox sizes despite being in pod main, and this war crime of an up B. He has the highest number of individual, one of the best moves out of any character in the game. Down smash, widely considered best down smash in the game. Up smash, widely considered one of if not the best in the game. Up air, one of the best up airs in the game if not the best. Neutral air, same thing. Up B, same thing. This guy has so many broken ass moves. What's funny is that he barely got buffed at all. People just realized how stupid broken he is after they moved past the quote-unquote nerfs he got. One would think his floaty physics and lightweight would make him just as prone to exploding and juggling as he can to his opponents, but I think he's one of the hardest characters to keep at disadvantage. Now when it comes to punish games, since that's been the running theme of this video, Game & Watch is punishment. A frame 3 invincible up B out of shield basically has punish game written all over it. His up air can keep you permanently suspended in the air due to being unchallengeable and spammable. His long-lasting, offensively disjointed hitboxes can clip you even if you're trying to avoid them. God forbid you're stuck on ledge, you're about to take 90% from neutral B. You can't projectile camp him because of bucket, and why not? Let's give him a down throw side B confirm at mid percent. If he gets a 9, you're dead. Game & Watch's entire plan is so simple but so effective. He can easily rack up percent on you, then start fishing for stuff like down smash and up smash, or he can edge guard and ledge trap you to kingdom come. All while, if you so much as try to pressure him, he has a one button escape tool. I seriously don't understand why people thought this guy was bottom tier. I don't care what anyone says, he's top 5. With a moveset like that, you can't look me dead in the eye and say that he's not top 5. Everyone's complaining and whining on Twitter about Cloud back air, meanwhile Game & Watch has like 50 billion broken moves. It's not fair, man. Back on topic though, Game & Watch is the most improved character because he embodies the current meta right now. He's all about punishing the opponent's mistakes and being really hard to punish himself. His neutral game is actually his weakest point in my opinion relative to his advantage and disadvantage. With Mia's recent win over Aquila at Kagari B11, I think we might have a new Sparkle Leo story with Mia and Aquila coming up. I wouldn't be surprised if people eventually designate Game & Watch's number 3 behind Steve and Sonic. Alrighty, so that's gonna be it for my top 5 most improved characters plus 2 honorable mentions. There were some others I could have included like Rosalina and such, but I felt like the top 10 would take too long. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, it would be great if you could leave a like and subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Vars, join my Discord server, and check out my top 10 best and worst moves videos if you haven't yet. But till next time, thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.